Hey guys, Kevin Goetz here from Eat Profit with another free YouTube lesson. Today we're talking about how to release tension in the hands, arms, fingers, wrists, whatever the hell, while you're playing guitar, because that's kind of a big impact on your speed, your technique, your accuracy, everything. Plus you can really badly injure yourself if you're not too careful. So, let's get started. Oh right, I should also mention that this was a request. So, you know who you are. I hope this answers your questions. The first thing is everything's connected. So if you have trouble with tension in your wrist, it can go all the way up your shoulder sometimes. So the first thing I like to do is just kind of poke around along the muscles here, kind of a self-massage kind of thing. If it's really bad, sometimes you can take the heel of your hand there and lightly hit along both sides. It's really important to flap your wrists around like a moron. You know, kind of like you're trying to throw water off your hands. And that can keep the range of motion strong in the wrist, which is the first thing to go when you've got a lot of tension. A big thing, let me use my powers of conjuring guitar, is to be careful of the height of your, the height of your strap. So if I put my guitar on, I don't know if the camera can quite show this, but my guitar is not actually being supported by my legs. My strap is at about the height, so the guitar is about at the height of my solar plexus area, so even if I'm sitting, it does not quite touch my legs. But even then, when you're sitting, I would really recommend playing like this, kind of like you've got a V, the classical style, rather than here, because this makes you have to reach over further with your wrist, which is the same reason you don't want your guitar really low when you're standing. Because if it was like, I'm not going to change the height of my strap, I've got it right where I like it, but if it was lower, I have to stretch down here more, which looks cool, sure, a lot of cool looking guitarists will do this, but it can really mess with your wrist. Probably the most important thing though, aside from the self-massage and all that, is your physical motion. So on the left hand, right, if you're trying to play something fast, you don't want to use a whole lot of power because you're moving quickly, right? So if you're pushing down really hard like you might for a more aggressive riff down here, at the speed that you need to be moving, you can really mess yourself up if you're pressing down full force really hard, especially if you're used to playing acoustically, but trying to move at full speed. That's just bad. And conversely, with your picking hand, if you're having a lot of trouble with, you know, if you do a lot of tremolo picking, if you just pick a lot of alternate picking stuff at a moderate to high tempo, the thing you need to watch out for is don't anchor. Don't do this thing where you have your pinky touching somewhere on the body, because that may feel like it's taking some of the tension off, but in reality what you're doing is the pivoting motion of your wrist is now tied along this tendon here, which you really do not want to do. That is not a strong tendon. That is not something we as humans evolved to make a whole lot of use out of. You really want these muscles, and if you're having still issues with tension, use these muscles. I don't think the camera can quite see it because, you know, I'm not the most muscular guy in the world. I don't have a whole lot of tone here, but you can see as I start to pick faster, there's going to be a little bit of a flex in my bicep area. So what you're doing there is you're engaging this muscle a little bit. You're not like picking from the shoulder. You're using your wrist, but you put some tension intentionally. You intentionally put some strain here. Now, there's a whole big biological reason for that, but to sum it up, if you engage a larger muscle group forcefully, then unwanted or accidental or involuntary tension is less likely to crop up in the weaker muscle groups. And you may actually find that engaging this muscle a little bit increases your speed with picking, which is something I'll go into in another video. There's a whole set of weird body mechanics that actually really make a difference in your playing, but this is not the place to address that. So yeah, these are just a handful of tips for reducing tension. Oh, right, I almost forgot one. So you guys probably know by now, I love Rusty Cooley, right? He is one of my favorite guitarists ever, say what you will about him. And he does this thing where he'll play diminished arpeggios across 3 notes per string. So that's a stretch, for instance, of 11, 14, 17. It's not a fun stretch. And the first problem you're going to get with this kind of lick, or any big stretch, you know, even like a major scale shape down here, 1, 3, 5, first problem you're going to get is tension. And what helps me is, rather than having my thumb up over the top, let it just kind of drop down here along the bottom curve of the neck. Because if you get your thumb out of the way, your hand almost opens on its own. So if you find that some of your tension is coming from stretches you can't quite handle, do that. At some point I got very off-center and I'm not quite sure how that happened. Whatever. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Subscribe if you like this. I think my current schedule is... I don't know. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope this answered your question, dude. Like I said, you know who you are. Yeah, see you guys next time.